Welcome everyone to our daily Forex market analysis call. This is in preparation for trading on August 30th, 2017. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for education purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money and make sure you're managing your risk appropriately and managing the trade size, especially during these summer months. So we will start off with the calendar here. All right, so in terms of news today, not a whole lot. We had consumer confidence number out of the US that came in as positive. But other than that, it was fairly light in terms of news. Coming up in the Asian session here, we have building data coming out of Australia, and we also have Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor Wheeler speaking. So anytime there's a central banker speaking, it is an important it's an important event, and market is always looking to see what their stance is. So especially with Bank of Canada raising rates, so all eyes will be on Australia as well as New Zealand to see when they will kind of follow in the same footsteps and start raising their rates, because those economies generally they tend to raise rates before others do. So that's that. And in terms of our data that's coming up tomorrow, we have in the US session, we have ADP non-farm employment change, which is a precursor to non-farm payrolls number. If this comes in as positive, it will certainly be positive for the US dollar. We also have preliminary GDP number, which will have an impact. Crude oil inventories, that will have an impact on dollar CAD. And in the Asian session, we have PMI numbers as well as capital expenditure for Australia. So overall, non-farm payroll here and the GDP number will be the most important. Another thing that we have to keep an eye on are the actions by North Korea. So North Korea, basically, we saw a big move. So here's an article here. So what happened? What happened with North Korea is they filed a missile over Japan, and as a result of that, we saw that Japanese yen basically completely went down. So let's take a quick look at the chart. Dollar yen, pound yen, euro yen, everything just crashed as a result. So this was the drop here, and then market was looking for a response from President Trump, and the excuse me. And in terms of the response that market got basically was that President Trump said that we are looking at all options, and that was it. So there was no real hard stance against, or he didn't say anything that was really kind of similar to what he has said in the past of them taking action, the US taking action against North Korea. As a result of that, we saw these moves. So here price retraced the entire move back. And if you take a look at all the euro currencies here, actually let's take a look, not euro, sorry, Japanese yen pairs, we see that everything has retraced all the way back. Huge moves in terms of these pairs. Normally, these are not the moves that we see on a regular basis. So huge moves in all the yen crosses. So it is my opinion that it's not over yet. I think we are likely to see more of this kind of a behavior. If we take a look at our news feed here, we see that North Korea has essentially said they are will continue to, North Korea leader Kim said it was necessary to conduct more ballistic rocket drills targeting the Pacific. So we're likely to see more of these missiles being launched. And as the situation escalates, I think there'd be more of a fallout as a result of this. So right now, because U.S. hasn't really come out and said anything really strongly about this, that is what's keeping market in kind of out of that risk aversion mode. So as soon as the missile attack happened, market just went into risk averse mode. That means all the safe haven currencies, Swiss franc and Japanese yen, all those dropped. So they become Japanese yen and Swiss franc become stronger. As a result, all of those crosses will drop. And when in the US session we did not get a very strong statement out of the US, basically market thought, okay, there's really no risk here, and went in the completely opposite direction and retraced the entire move and went in the opposite direction. So I think based on what the news feed's reporting here, I don't think this is over. I think we're likely to see more of this. I think the problem is likely to escalate. So as a result of that, but market is not behaving the way it normally does under such conditions. So when anytime there's a risk like that, market will generally see Japanese yen and Swiss franc go up, and as a result, all those crosses will drop, and we are seeing a completely opposite behavior right now from the market. So it's completely sentiment driven. So I would say be very careful in trading these crosses, because I think we may go back and forth between those scenarios. So it's very important for us to kind of watch it and see what's going on in the market. So let's go to our charts here. We'll start off with our euro dollar here. So today the US dollar actually strengthened. So here we have euro that actually gave us a bearish pin bar today. So based on this, we can expect the prices to drop, the market to drop. So in this case, we are looking for price to come back and test the support and resistance level of 1.1900. So looking for market to come down. So before the market comes down, though, we may see price push up like that and then do a drop. So the target here would be 1.1900. Let's go to a smaller time frame. This is where we are. Price is in a downward trend right now. So we saw this move. So basically, euro went up and then dropped today. So that's why we got the daily pin bar. So when we get a daily pin bar, usually I'm looking for price to drop. In this case, we may see a pullback either into the pivot point or into 1.200 level, and then looking for a drop back into this 1.1900 or even into 1.1880 level, which coincides with our previous support and resistance area and also with our S2 area. So basically, overall, euro dollar for the time being looks bearish. Pound dollar here. Here we are. Pound looks bearish here as well. So we have another bearish pin bar at this point, looking for price to move lower. In this case, the target will be 1.2820. So that's the target to the downside, which is basically this support and resistance area. Price has reacted multiple times at this. So if we look at our 4-hour chart, here's what we have. Price has gone to test this previous support and resistance area all the way up here. And now it seems to be holding here, which was earlier in the session. And I'm looking for price to move lower. So this is where we are. Price could go up to test the pivot point, but I'm looking for overall, this looks like I'm looking for price to move lower. The important thing about this one will be a break of this 1.2920 area. So we need to see the price stay below this area, because this is an important support and resistance level. Price has tested this level before. It had bounced off of that before it moved to the other side and stayed higher. So now we need to see a break of this level and then a further move to the downside. So the move that we are looking for here is price to drop, push back into this area, stay below that, and then looking for another move to the downside. The target in this case is 1.2850 and further down into 1.2820 level, which will be the bottom of this inefficient move up. So overall, right now, it looks bearish. Aussie. Aussie here, this one looks, let's go. Okay, so here we are pushing into this support and resistance area, 79.80-ish area. Right now, it does look like it is bullish. It is into resistance, but it is holding its bullish net. So it is pushing higher. So here the test will be the 79.80 area. So once the price breaks above this to the other side, we could see price go up, pull back, and then go to the next level, which will be 80.50 level. So in this case, this looks bullish. However, we do have construction data coming up for Australian dollar. So if the data comes out negative, then we could see a drop in this as a result of that. And also, second thing is, if the price does not hold above 79.80 level, we could see price come down further as well, just because if the US dollar strengthens across the board, we are likely to see that impact in Australian dollar here as well. So right now, price does have that. It is making higher lows and higher highs. It has pulled back, but we need to watch this 78.80 level, see how price reacts, which is actually top of this level here. See how price reacts there. And if price holds on the other side, then we're likely to see it break to the upside. So we are into resistance, so need to be a little bit careful with Aussie here. New Zealand dollar here, a very, very neutral close for the day. It seems like price did go to test higher, but then it closed right into the middle. So pin bars on both sides, very, very neutral close. So overall, the bias on this one is to the downside. So that bias will still continue. So here's what we've got. So we had price come back just like the British pound. It went and tested the previous support and resistance area, and now it has dropped since then. So this is where we are. Bias is still to the downside as long as price holds below this 72.96 or 7,300 level. The bias will be to the downside. So we're looking for price to come down into the 7,200 level, which is this previous support and resistance level. Here we are. So the only concern with this, or only caution with this one, will be we have central banker speaking, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, Governor Wheeler is speaking, and that can create market moves. So market will be paying very close attention to what he has to say. So especially they're looking for anything around monetary policy. So if Governor Wheeler says that we are going to, market is doing well, the economy is doing well, and we are seeing price, inflation is going up as expected, stuff like that, things are on track, that will be a positive sign in terms of interest rate hike. However, if he talks about the exchange rate being too high, or the economy not being as strong or something like that, that will have a negative impact on this. So overall, the bias is still to the downside. The daily close is very neutral, but the bias is still to the downside because of the previous trend. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD is a very, very neutral close. So now we have been into the bottom. We are towards the support here. Price has gone up and tested this previous support and resistance level. At this point, I am fairly neutral on this. So over here as well, bias is still to the downside just because that's the previous trend. But here we are coming into the support levels. And another thing to keep in mind about Canadian dollar is that we also have NAFTA negotiations going on at the moment. So any comments out of President Trump in terms of not being able to reach an agreement or canceling NAFTA, anything like that will be negative for the Canadian dollar, which means dollar CAD will go up. And also, if in general US dollar becomes more bullish, this is likely to turn up higher. So we are into almost at that double bottom support, double bottom level there. So keep that in mind. Right now, I am just looking for a range bound move here. So the top of this will be 1.2550 level. If the price comes into this level, I'm looking for a reaction, potentially a move to the downside off of this level. So a test like this and then a drop. And if price goes into the bottom here, I'm looking for a test and then a bounce off of that. So I'm going to treat this as a range bound market at this time. So this is where we are. As we can see, price is holding this level here. And as long as it stays below this level, we are looking for further move to the downside. So basically, I'm looking for price to bounce off of this level, 125.50, looking for price to move down. And once price starts getting into this 124.20 or lower levels, I'm looking for price to bounce back up again. So very neutral in this case. Okay, so Swiss crosses. Now we are going to look at risk currencies. Risk currencies, I think, can be quite volatile, or safe haven currencies, I should say, can be quite volatile over the next couple of days here. And the reason for that is North Korea situation. It was a North Korea situation, even though the daily close here was bullish, it was because of North Korea firing a missile. They weren't even testing, they were just firing a missile over Japan that exploded over the ocean. So it didn't really hit anything. But if they start doing these or shooting off these missiles, more of these, that is likely to exaggerate the situation. So right now, President Trump has said that we are going to look at all options. It was too mild a response to something this big. So it could be the calm before everything falls apart. So what we need to watch out for here, one is to see how North Korea reacts from here on. So what do they do? If they fire more missiles, so right now they have said that they're going to fire more missiles. So if they do carry on with those missile tests or missile firings, then that would be negative for all the Swiss franc crosses. So which means Swiss franc will go up, Japanese yen will go up. So all the crosses are likely to drop. However, if the reaction out of the US is not very strong, we could see similar moves back up where we saw price go all the way down. It was a big red candle in the morning, and now it's a doji, so it's a bullish pin bar almost. So that's the concern. And price could whipsaw like crazy based on, one, there's really, really low market liquidity right now, which means that once the move starts, it could just go on for a long time. Keep that in mind. That's why the pullbacks can be so big right now. It could just, once the move starts, it could just continue on. So that's important. So making sure there are stop losses in place. The trade size is very, very small. So these components, I know I have been harping on this for a little while, especially in the month of August, but they are very, very critical at this moment. So keep that in mind and watch out for the news. The feed that I track, this is the feed that I track, if it's FX Pro. So especially during this time, I would suggest that we keep an eye on this. So right now, as we can see, even so in, excuse me, in Asia here right now, so Russia's UN ambassador says can be no military situations to the issues plaguing Korean Peninsula. So Russia is putting their, giving their input. Japan is giving their input. China is giving their input, and then U.S. ambassador is giving their input. So there's a lot of commentary going on around the situation. So we haven't seen so many people coming out and making comments about that. That just shows that the issue may be escalating. And so there may be stuff going on behind the scenes that we as retail traders are not aware of. All we can check is what the market reaction will be. And the market reaction at this point, excuse me, has been very strange. Normally, we would expect the price to come down, drop, everything to drop, but it has dropped and then it has pulled back. So we could see continuation of that type of a behavior. So this is where we are sitting. In terms of our daily close here, this is bullish. It shows rejection. However, I'm thinking bearish on this one because the risk has not gone out of the market. As soon as the risk, we start seeing more comments, I would expect the price to drop, and I'm looking for price to kind of come back into this previous level of 1.1360-ish level right into here. So even though we see 2 pins, almost 3-4 pins at this level, and looks like price once is going to push up, I am of the opinion that we may see a drop. So that's just my opinion. And I would say just be careful if you're trading this pair. Just be careful with this one. Same thing with pound Swiss. I do believe it's going to come down, even though, so we have had a big, huge pin here, huge move. We saw a drop, and then we saw price push back up again, so 132 pips or so. I am not seeing this as completely bullish, even though if we were just basically going just purely based on technicals, that's a big rejection, and that would suggest that prices are likely to move higher. But because of the risk in the market, I'm expecting this to come down. I think this will drop very shortly here. We are right into this previous resistance level, and it's at that level where we could see a drop in this. So it's about 40 pip stop here. And we're looking for price to move. The first target will be 122.80. And then further, we could likely see price come all the way down here into this 1.2220 level. So I'm going to keep an eye on this and see how this reacts. And as the comments are going on. Dollar Swiss, exact same scenario, big drop, push back up, very basically crazy moves. So right now we are back into that resistance area, and as is my opinion with other crosses, I do think this is not going to be bullish. I think we're going to see some craziness in the market. Okay, yen crosses. Yen crosses looking very bullish. The daily close is very bullish over here. I think the market is reacting in a very strange way. So I would say be cautious in this. Based on the daily close, this is bullish. So if you were to go purely by technicals, I would be looking for a move back into 142.70 or at least 142.50 level, right into this previous support and resistance level. I'd be looking for the move to go up, but I'm going to stay out of the yen crosses because it's not doing what you would normally expect it to do, which would be for a Japanese yen to go up. So I'm just going to stay out of it. Based on the daily close, though, this looks bullish. So it could go all the way to 142.50. And if things go crazy, it could even go all the way up to 143.20 level, which is all the way back up over here. But again, I would say be mindful. Euro yen here, again, same thing. We saw a big drop, big reversal on this, and we are all the way into the top. It looks like price is trying to break the previous level here. Looks very bullish overall, but the move looks very thin. The price, just the way it is right now, it looks thin. Looks like it wants to go up higher. But I think we are looking at volatility. I think this is, again, we're going to likely to see volatility. So if you just want my technical opinion, technically from technical perspectives, this is bullish. We are into resistance, but this is, from technical perspective, this looks like it could go higher. And it could go into 140, 134, 134.60, let's say 50, yeah, 134.50 level. So that's where it could go. But I would be concerned about buying Japanese yen when there is geopolitical risk in the market. sorry, selling Japanese yen, which means I would not be buying any of these crosses. I'd be very careful. Same thing with Aussie yen, huge drop. We have not seen, we don't generally see these kind of drops. So when Korea was testing the missiles, we saw these prices coming down, and now they are actually firing them over countries, which could very, very quickly lead to a war, and market is actually selling Japanese yen. So it doesn't make sense. It is not normal behavior. So better to be careful than to um, get killed in this type of a scenario. In this case, overall, based on just from technical perspective, we see a bullish close here. We are coming into a resistance level right into 87.50. So that will be the first technical target to the upside. Further up, we are looking at 88.00 as the second target to the upside. But again, expect volatility. Dollar yen, big, huge close to the upside, a drop, and then big close to the upside. Right now, from technical perspective, that's a big bullish pin bar. And normally, big bullish pin bar would mean that we are looking for a further move to the upside. In that case, we would be looking for a 110 40-ish level, this one right here, the next support and resistance level. This level looks good. So that would be the normal technical target, but again, I would be very careful with this one. Euro pound here. Euro pound has turned around. We have a pin bar in this one, which would suggest bearishness. So in this case, the price may go all the way up to 92.80 and then drop. So this one is, so as long as price holds, so we may see price do one of these. So go and test that 92.80, reject that level and drop to 92.36-ish level. As long as price stays above this level, this is going to be bullish. So price may do one of these. So we may see a retracement back into 92.30. If it stays above that level, we are looking for a further move to the downside, to the upside. Sorry, based on the candle here, though, that's a bearish pin bar. But as long as it stays above, so we could see price move back into 92.30. If it stays above, then we are looking for a further move to the upside. Aussie, Euro Aussie. So Euro Aussie, big pin bar here. As a result of that, looking for price to move back down here. And the target here, first target would be 1.50 level. And below that, we are looking at 149.61 level. So this level to the downside. Again, the key here would be this level here, 1.5065. As long as price stays below this level, 1.5065, it may pull back into 1.5080 into the pivot level and then drop, but that this shows big rejection. So we're likely to see the price come down. Only caveat here would be Australian dollar news. So we have construction data coming out. So housing is a big market for them. This is the place where they were seeing a lot of growth. And if we see that the construction data is not positive, that will be negative for Australian dollar. As a result, that could change. But that's overall, that's what we're looking at. CAD yen here, again, same scenario. It came all the way down and then went all the way up to close very, very bullish. So as we can see, big inefficient move to the downside, big inefficient move to the upside, and now it's going and testing the highs again. Based on purely the technicals, this looks like a bullish move, and we could see the price go up higher. But like I said, I would be very reluctant to buy any of these Japanese yen crosses. So I think that's all I have. Any questions or anything to add here? Okay, perfect. So looks like that's it. So we'll call it a wrap. I'm going to look at some crosses here, and I'll kind of keep an eye on things, see if I can find something that makes sense. But again, any trades that you take, just please keep your size very, very small if you're trading. So just because we are under the market conditions that we are. All right, so we'll call it a wrap. So that's it for now. I will see you guys tomorrow in the trade room. Good night.